Heat advisories, flash flood watches, even a few flash flood warnings in places not too far away. Joe Rayo will be doing Rayo's radars as we deal with more storms and more heat and humidity, but there is a short break coming. Okay? Run a stopwatch so you can figure out how long it lasts. And we'll tell you all about this and so much more, as we always are full of it here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, please. Keeps the live stream commercial free by doing your Amazon shopping using our referral link as your starting point. And that's all you really have to do. Just get whatever it is you're going to get, and Amazon will throw us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. And it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your own pocket. So we're talking about the number of calories that you would burn by clicking on our referral link. And we appreciate those of you who have done so on Amazon. And Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. I'm on it. The link is on the descriptor to this podcast. Use that coupon code Joe Rayo, summer 2025, because only you can say what they will get.
10% off. Why haven't any of you taken up Tempest on that?
Well, actually, some have.
Oh, well, that's good.
Which is nice. Hang on 1 second here. There we go. We'll just have to. There we go. All right. So there are some thunderstorms on the radar tonight to the west, and not that far to the west. But it seems like the timing is a little different this time around. It looks like they got started a couple of hours later than they did the ones from Monday. So they seem to be reaching peak intensity now in the great state of Pennsylvania. But I wonder if some of them may survive and move through during the overnight.
Well, you were absolutely right about the flash flood warnings. They are in effect across portions of central New Jersey until about 10:30 or 10:45 tonight. And as we mentioned, Joe, last couple of days, these are severe weather makers, severe storms, but not the way many of you might visualize severe storms. When you say severe thunderstorms, immediately you think of strong, gusty winds, vivid and dangerous lightning, the potential for spawning funnel clouds and tornadoes. But in reality, the main problem with these particular systems tonight is the fact that because the atmosphere is so chock-filled with moisture, dew points continue to be in the 70s. If you happen to be in the path of any of these storms, you will get very, very quickly heavy-duty downpours, torrential downpours, which could lead to localized flooding, especially if you live in an area of poor drainage. And that's exactly what parts of New Jersey are seeing right now. And we're going to show you on radar all of that.
Chris O'Shaughnessy on the chat board says that in Jackson, New Jersey, what's the amusement park? Great Adventure.
Great Adventure.
Is there. Yeah, 11 people just got struck by lightning in Jackson, New Jersey. I don't know if they're a Great Adventure, but they're in Jackson, New Jersey. And this is all in the last 15 minutes or so. So, yeah, there seems to be a little narrow strip of thunderstorms that's formed out ahead of the main area. Kind of like what happened on Monday, where we had some stuff that formed over Connecticut and brought flash flooding there that was ahead of the main area. This is playing out. In a sense, it's playing out in similar fashion. It just seems to be a few hours behind. And you've already got the first radar up there, so go ahead.
Well, this is from Wrightstown, New Jersey, the DIX, the Dix Philadelphia radar. And you can see when you first glance, you feel, well, what's Rayo getting all upset about? It looks like most of New Jersey is free and clear, except for a few spots. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But in the few spots that thunderstorms are occurring, again, across, I believe, Somerset County, you see here's something bubbling up here just to the west of Staten Island. These are very localized, very heavy precipitation makers that can dump easily something like 2 or 3 inches of rain in less than an hour's time. That's why we have the warnings up, the flood warnings up for the central sections of New Jersey. And then if we look to the west, Moving into eastern Pennsylvania, there's another much larger, broader area of precipitation. Doesn't look like there's anything embedded in terms of very heavy, like what they're seeing popping up across New Jersey, but still enough so that you probably will encounter some moderate to heavy rainfall. In fact, if we move to the west, let's go to uh, Williamsport, State College, Pennsylvania, Rush, Pennsylvania, and you can see the area moving rapidly in from west to east. And for the most part, again, moderate to heavy embedded areas, which look like there could be thunderstorms in and around central Pennsylvania, and moving into the area just to the south and west of Pittsburgh. Actually, there was a cell that passed north of Pittsburgh a little while ago, but now look at this angry area of red southwest of Pittsburgh, which is moving northeast and could very well hit the Steel City over the course of the next 20 or 30 minutes. And if we go further south now, let's go down to Maryland. Here is centered Washington, D.C., Sterling, Virginia. And you can see that there are thunderstorms that are bubbling up across southernmost Pennsylvania and also in areas south and west of the Washington, Baltimore area. These are moving to the north and east toward the nation's capital and could very well affect them over the next hour or so. And here's an area that really was impressive to me, Joe, out over the Midwest. This line, which just has moved through the Chicago area and is now moving across the northern and central sections of Indiana. That was a rather narrow but very potent line of showers and embedded thunderstorms, again racing now from west to east across into central Indiana on the final frames of the loop. It looks like now the activity is beginning to not necessarily peter out, but beginning to weaken some, but still looks rather potent. There's also some potent storms over in northern and western sections of Ohio. And in fact, if we go there,
Actually,
you can
even in
see
southeast Ohio.
now it's in southeastern Ohio.
No. But there's stuff in the northwest. There's also stuff in the southeast.
Right, and you can see that too, moving again from west to east. And you're right, Joe, in the southeastern portion of Ohio, moving now across the border into northwestern Kentucky. There are some rather significant cells of precipitation, but there's also a narrow, albeit heavy line of showers and storms moving through, it looks like north central sections of Ohio. And did I say Kentucky? I should have said West Virginia, moving across from southeastern Ohio into West Virginia. Not to say, though, that in portions of Kentucky, most notably northeastern Kentucky, there have been and were some rather potent showers and storms. And another area down here, just southwest of Lexington, Kentucky. And in fact, if we go to Kentucky down here, we will find, here we are, Jackson, Kentucky, Knockdoor, Kentucky. Here's Lexington, and here's the area of showers and storms beginning to move in toward the Lexington area. But again, there are some spotty, heavy showers moving again from northeastern Kentucky into southernmost sections of Ohio and western sections of West Virginia. So what can I tell you except that because, again, of the very high humidity, the dew points again in the 70s, you're getting these areas of very localized, very heavy rain across the region. Nothing really truly organized, but still, if you happen to live within the zone where these things are going to pass you by, be ready, because you could very easily pick up a very large amount of rainfall in a very short interval of time.
Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board, and to those of you watching in the background, welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m., and on Fridays and Saturdays we're off. However, if there's a big storm situation around, we, of course, will add a show or two, and we will let you know about it. So that you do know about it, make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And, of course, if you like the show, by all means, hit the like button. Another hot day coming up tomorrow, and then we get a little humidity break. And I mentioned you can almost take out a stopwatch in terms of how long the humidity is going to break. And the other thing is, If you're in the southern half of New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania and point southward, that humidity break is probably not going to be noticed very much by you because while dew points could get down to the low 60s or even to 60 from New York City north and northeast and northwest, if you go down to southern New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania southward, you'd be lucky if you get your dew point to go drop below 70.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, not much of a change down there. But as I said also, Joe, because of the fact that we humans are become very acclimated to the kind of environment that we've been in for a few days, maybe even a drop of 2 or 3 degrees in terms of dew point temperature might be somewhat noticeable.
Right.
Maybe no big, push of wonderfully dry, cool air, but again, beggars can't really be choosers.
Exactly. All right, let's see what's going on watches and warnings wise around the country, as we like to do at the start of our show. Heat advisories are up in parts of the Northeast, down into the Mid-Atlantic states. You can see in the green in Pennsylvania, down into Northern Virginia, and of course, not to leave out Central and Western Maryland, all under flood watches, and there have been various flash flood warnings that have popped up. We also have heat advisories up for Western Tennessee, Western Alabama and Mississippi, down into Louisiana and Arkansas, and flood watches up for the southeastern part of Louisiana because of this tropical system, which is what I want to take a look at now. And we'll get to that in a second. We have severe thunderstorm watches up at the moment, and this is at 7:48 p.m. Eastern Time in eastern Colorado and southeast Wyoming. And what was a larger area of severe thunderstorm and tornado watches has been whittled down to a handful of counties in northern Indiana. And judging from what's been going on the radar, those storms look like they have gone past peak. Now here are the lightning strikes as you take a look at this satellite loop. I'm just going to freshen it up so that it goes a little closer to 7:30 on the last frame. And you can see the lightning strikes across central New Jersey, north of 195 and south of Route 78. It's just kind of in this narrow band. There's this little stick of thunderstorms there that have developed. And then again, then you see the lightning strikes that also, they look like they've kind of reached their peak in Pennsylvania. They start to disappear a little bit, although the part that extends down into Maryland and Virginia still continues to be active, and also the storms in southeast Ohio still look to be active. Meanwhile, you can see this disturbance that's moved across Florida from the Atlantic side and continues to drift to the west. It's very disorganized. We mentioned a couple of nights ago that the upper air conditions were not exactly screaming development here. And the low center is actually just offshore. It's northwest of Apalachicola and not too far from um, Pensacola, like in the coastal waters in between those two cities. The actual low center has just emerged. Meanwhile, most of the convection, the heavy convection, is in southeast Louisiana, where they're getting some heavy rains and some thunderstorms in the mix there. And I've got a surface map here, and you can see where the L is plotted. So the actual low center is now over the sort of open over the open waters. Part of the circulation of that is on land, part of it is out in the ocean, and it's moving westward. So, I mean, you're really talking about threading an incredibly fine needle here as far as it being over the waters. And here's a view from the hurricane model forecast tracks that are all basically west, maybe even a little west, a little south of west. That gives it a little bit more room. I've been saying this the last couple of nights. I would really be surprised to see this thing strengthen to, maybe it gets to a minimal tropical storm. Maybe. It wouldn't shock me if it didn't. And in fact, if we look at the intensity guidance on this, you'll notice that none of the models make it a tropical storm. They all get it to about 30 knots in terms of top winds, and that's just about it. I'm ignoring the one model that in 108 hours has it as a 40-knot tropical storm because I'm sorry, 100, yeah, between 108 and 120 hours. Uh, that's such an outlier. All of the tracks suggest that this thing is going to wind up uh, going into southeast Louisiana. The low center is, and then go west northwest, and then eventually turn north and then northeast. So there might be some moisture, tropical moisture that gets funneled up the Mississippi Valley. But I'm pretty sure, Joe, you're on the same page with me with this. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's room here. There's very little room here for this to really become anything too problematic. Other than the fact that I should mention, at least from the standpoint of rain, that may be a different issue because there's a lot of tropical moisture with this. So you could have a tropical wave that could cause massive amounts of flash flooding if it's if it's pulling in enough moisture, and of course obviously that could be a problem in areas in Louisiana, as because that's where we're seeing all the thunderstorm activity now.
Well, if this does get a name, it will become Dexter. But I must tell you that so far, the first three tropical cyclones that have formed, that have been assigned names, really have not amounted to all that much. In fact, I know in one particular case, I forget which one it was, it hardly lasted much more than 24 hours. So, we may, the Hurricane Center, which has once again said that this is going to be a more active tropical storm slash hurricane season with a greater number of named storms. They may absolutely be true, but my question is, how many of these are going to amount to more than a hill of beans? So far, the first three haven't been all that much to write home about. Of course, we're talking about June and into the first half of July, and as I've said many times, July is kind of a slack month. We'll see what happens when we get into August and September, but so far, these few storms that have garnered names have not really amounted to very much. And Dexter, if it does indeed evolve into a storm that is going to be assigned the name Dexter, tracking the way you pointed out, Joe, right along the coastal plain of the Gulf Coast, doesn't really show that much of a chance of any significant strengthening. Although you're right also in that if it's a slow-moving system and is loaded for bear with lots of tropical moisture, it can cause quite a bit of it can become a problematic system by producing wide-scale flooding. But again, so far, and I'm only talking about or talking to some of the folks I've seen over the last day or two on social media that have been trying to turn this into a massive or a potentially massive storm system evolving, over the Gulf of Mexico. That does not look like it's going to happen.
I actually saw a post back a few days ago. It was so clear. Somebody took a post from one of the Category 4 hurricanes that's hit Louisiana in the last 5 or 6 years, and used the sort of the satellite radar imagery. So they had this buzz saw that was the buzz saw look that was sitting over southern Louisiana, which is just I just shake my head with this sort of stuff. And you look at what's on the radar. I mean, the radar tells you everything here about terms of disorganization. You see where I've drawn in the low center, and you see where I've also drawn in the track. You've got convection going on well to the west of the center. You've got some convection going on along the west coast of Florida, north of Tampa into the Florida Big Bend. Where the low is, and when you have a tropical system, you're looking for a concentrated area of thunderstorms developing closer to a circulation center. There is next to nothing happening. If this were a well-defined system, you would see precip all over the place in the Florida Panhandle. There's nothing there. So again, I stand by what I've been saying about this. That unless something really happens radically at the last minute, this is just going to be a tropical disturbance, or maybe at worst a tropical depression that goes in and rains, and that would be about it. Just want to mention too, we've got severe weather in eastern Colorado and southeast Wyoming. You can see the yellow boxes with severe thunderstorms there. A couple of flash flood warnings in northeast New Mexico, a couple of them in north central Arizona, where we're seeing a lot of convection in the central and northern part of the state, and back across Utah and into Nevada. It's been a little on the busy side in the southwest. The Storm Prediction Center, you can see the waning boxes of those the severe thunderstorm watch and the tornado watch in the upper Midwest inside that slight risk zone, and then the other slight risk zone in Colorado and Wyoming has a severe thunderstorm watch box encased in that. We do have a marginal risk over much of New York State that goes into northern New Jersey and into southwest Jersey, down into Delaware, Maryland, and Northern Virginia, and that's from the storms that, the concentration of storms that's moving through Pennsylvania, and then those renegade cells that are sitting over New Jersey. Now, tomorrow, Joe, SPC has got a marginal risk. It's like a finger that runs from South Kansas and Northeast Oklahoma east to Virginia, and then goes north up to New York State and Maine. I was, looking at this, I was kind of thinking along the lines of maybe they should be sticking a slight risk in for parts of upstate New York and western New England. That would be the one thing I might have done differently with this.
If you look at the short-term models, all of them actually, the GFS, the NAM model, the HRRR, they all suggest that whatever we get out of tomorrow will be primarily in the morning up until about 9 or 10 o'clock. And then the midday and the afternoon, the probabilities for significant precipitation or possible thunderstorms drops off. However, the folks over at the Storm Prediction Center in Oklahoma have pointed out that what may happen tomorrow is that we'll get a threat of showers and storms in the morning, then there'll be a break in the midday, and then there may be another round firing up later in the day and toward the evening hours, which again is not supported by the short-term models. But when you think about how very warm, if not downright hot, it's going to be again tomorrow, when you consider the fact that it's going to be another very humid day, why not? Why there could very well be, and what appears to be the actual front, the actual cold front that's going to bring relief in terms of lower humidities to New England and much of New York State and northern Pennsylvania. That front is still north and west of those areas by tomorrow evening. So actually what I think they're thinking of is that some kind of a prefrontal trough or maybe a prefrontal squall line will fire up out ahead of the main cold front tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then work its way through eastern New York and into New England. Then the actual cold front sweeps on down and through during the nighttime hours tomorrow night, which means that when you wake up on Friday morning, except if you live in South Jersey, but if you wake up when you wake up on Friday morning, you will actually feel the effects of that cold front having passed on through during the overnight hours, and it will be passing through and ushering in that somewhat drier, lower humidity air for Friday into the start of the weekend on Saturday. But again, tomorrow, watch out. There could very well be what is supported is showers and thunderstorms early in the day tomorrow. Supposedly it's going to end by the late morning or midday. The models don't really show much of anything thereafter, but again, you get into later tomorrow afternoon and evening, and Joe just has pointed that out, 5 p.m. Thursday, there could be another line of showers and scattered storms, which could very well influence, if not everybody. It may not be a solid line, a broken line, or maybe a scattering of locally heavy thunderstorms. That would be, again, for the late day hours for tomorrow. Gusty winds with those, and Joe thinks that maybe there might be a slight risk of severe weather. That would be 2 on the 5-point scale for severity. Everybody else might still be under marginal, but there could be a zone of slight risk, again, later tomorrow with this impending system.
Yeah, I just put this is the 3-kilometer NAM, which is supposed to be good with with these in these types of situations. And yeah, that's kind of what it does. It's got this batch from tonight. It's not handling that well. I mean, you can barely, it's barely showing anything when you compare it to what's on the radar. And some of that actually survives coming through after 10 or 11 o'clock. And then it goes out. And then there's a little bit of stuff around in the morning hours, not much, but you get the winds that go more westerly, and then you wait for the northwest wind shift in the dry line, and that's going to come sometime Thursday night. So it's ahead of that you start to see these thunderstorms fire up in upstate New York. It has a fairly, solid looking little line there, or at least a line segment running from Lake Ontario down to between Rochester and Syracuse, and then just sort of moves it along. But then you've got other scattered storms that pop up down even into northern New Jersey, and then they reach their peak intensity around 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. So I'm going to guess that they're probably going to make us put a slight risk up for parts of upstate New York and into western New England. Maybe the slight risk goes as far south as the Catskills and to the New Jersey New York state line. That's just my guess. And then after that, as we just I'm going to widen this out. I want to go back to the uh, SPC just for a moment here, and then come back to this. So this is for Thursday into Friday, and then when we look at the Friday into Saturday, you obviously, if you see where SPC has drawn the line between no thunderstorms and general thunderstorms, that line probably represents where the 70-degree dew point line is. Southern New Jersey, southernmost Pennsylvania southward, north and east of there, particularly if you're in upstate New York and northern central interior New England, you're gonna have a nice shot of dry air with dew points down in the 50s, and it should at least carry you into the weekend. As far as rain over the next 7 days is concerned, and as always, when you look at it this time of year, thunderstorms around, you could locally get double or triple what's being forecast. So we've got a pretty large area of a half to three quarters in central and southern New England, southern half of New York State down through New Jersey, in through Virginia and North Carolina, picks up in eastern North Carolina, picks up also in the Appalachians, northwest back up into the lower lakes and to eastern Iowa, where we've got anywhere from an inch and a half to 2.5 to 3 inches in some places. And then you look down along the Gulf Coast, you see this concentration of 5 to 7 inches along the Louisiana coast from what is going on. And then again, this starts at 8 o'clock tonight, so anything that's fallen today is not part of this. And some areas have gotten a fair amount of rain from that. Now let's go back to the globals and take a look at what Mr. European has to say. Now, the European, Joe, is not really, doesn't really, I mean, it shows some stuff there Thursday afternoon. It does fire up some stuff there during Thursday afternoon. That area in the morning goes out, then some thunderstorms around 4 or 5 o'clock, then they go out. And you got a nice north wind Thursday night and Friday. You get that little bit of dew point relief. But you look down in Virginia, Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and points southward down to all of the Gulf states. There's areas of showers and thunderstorms. That's where, the hot, humid areas. So it's lurking. And as we go into Saturday, the winds are going to go onshore. And then we've got a low that's coming out of Kansas and running up to the lakes. So it looks like Saturday night into Sunday morning. We have a warm front that will go by with some downpours and maybe a warm frontal thunderstorm with that. And then perhaps later in the afternoon into the evening hours, there could be a shower or thunderstorm on Sunday when a cold front goes by. And then I think, genuine relief, maybe a slightly higher quality dry air coming into the Great Lakes and Northeast for Monday. And just as soon that comes in, and then it starts to pull out later Tuesday or Tuesday night. So this little dry shot might last a little bit longer before we go back into very warm and humid conditions and chances for showers and storms later in the week of next week.
I'm looking at Les Plumes, Joe, and in fact, I have sharing it right now on my screen, and this is a graph that shows, first off, the CAPE values. CAPE referring to as the acronym for convective available potential energy, And the values here are rather high. The values are expressed in joules per kilogram, and it's not too often that you see the amounts as high as what you're seeing here. Generally between 1,500 to nearly 2,000 joules per kilogram, and those high values are maintained from late to this evening all the way through tonight. There's a bit of a drop later this evening, later tonight into the pre-dawn hours of tomorrow, but then it comes right back up again, and it stays high all the way until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. So you talk about, a dry line or some kind of a upper disturbance moving through, interacting with all of this, and you would suggest that there could very well be later tomorrow and tomorrow evening some showers and locally strong thunderstorms popping up in places. In fact, if we look at the 3-hourly QPF, this is the graph that shows you the times when it's expected that we would be seeing the heaviest amounts of rain over a 3-hour period. They actually have this centered on 18Z tomorrow, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it kind of drops off some. In fact, it drops off quite a bit as we move into the late night hours tomorrow night into the pre-dawn hours of Friday morning. Now you talk about the drop in the dew points. I want to go back to the Cape values here. This is the Cape values that's showing 1,500 to 2,000 kilograms of joules per kilogram. And look, this is tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. Thursday, 8 p.m. Look what happens in the time frame, the 6 hours from 8 p.m. tomorrow night to 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday. It goes down like a rock. And by the time we get to 8 a.m. on Friday, it's all the way down almost to zero. So that shows you that punch of much drier air coming in, and with that punch arriving tomorrow later in the day and evening, that is when we may again see the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms popping up ahead of that dry line and ahead of that weather front. But then by the time we get to Friday morning, it's all gone. And look at that, the Cape values remain virtually flat all the way through Saturday into Saturday evening, and then it starts coming back up again as the dew points begin to climb Saturday night on into Sunday. So it shows you, it demonstrates to you in graphical form that we are expecting some nice, dry, more comfortable air to arrive, but it'll arrive again with possibly a real big punch late tomorrow and tomorrow evening with scattered, locally strong thunderstorms.
All right. How about we do a little Briller Jeopardy?
How about we do some?
All right,
I believe that's your turn tonight.
Is it my turn? I thought
Is
I
it?
did. Oh
Oh,
no.
wait a minute. Well, let me check.
No, it's you.
Am I-
I did it last night.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You are right.
Been
You
right a
are
lot
right.
tonight, Joe.
Yeah. I've got to get now to the correct here. Let me just switch now and push this button, and we will get it. No, I don't want to show you my notifications. All right. So here we go. On this Briller Jeopardy, average high temperatures, as we have been saying, for this month of July, the cities for average high temperatures, and we will start tonight with Providencia, Providence, Rhode Island.
Providence. I'll say. I'll say 84.
Oh, I honestly thought you were going to get. You're off. You're in Snake Country, Joe. You're that close. You've been doing that lately. You've been getting it like a degree or whatever.
Okay. So I said 84. William Uber says 83.
William Uber, you're right.
Among others. Mr. Cardillo,
Congratulations.
Mr. Croce, all saying 83. Mr. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Fenga, and Ms. Christinapedia.
So let's move on to our next city, Rochester, New York.
Um, July. I'll say 82.
Once again, you're within one, Joe. Once again, you're in
I'm
snake
on a
country.
streak. It's really disgusting. William Uber says 81.
Nope.
Nope. Miss Fowlerite says 83.
And so does Carol DeChera, and they are right. I actually mixed the numbers up a little bit, or the positions that Scott gave me. I figured, well, Providence was 83. Let me throw Rochester up, which is also 83. See how many people were going to come close with the 83. Also coming up with 83 was Vincent Croce, Chuck Cardillo, and Miss Blue Ocean. So there you go. How about for our third candidate tonight, Richmond, Virginia?
Oh, God. Um, hmm. I'll say I'm trying to decide if I should go 89 or 90. I'll say 89.
You should have. You're stuck in this rut, Joe.
I know. I
Rich
missed it by
Rod,
one again.
right. Rich Rotsmansky did get it with 90,
90. All right. And
and
Miss
Howard A.
Blue Ocean and Lou Arizio with 90.
Yep. And Latex Dreams, too. We don't want to leave him out.
Oh,
So,
heaven forbid. Yeah.
yeah,
Go
how
on.
about San Antonio?
Oh, God. Uh, I'll say 97.
Well, for once, you were finally off by more than one. Just a little
Okay.
bit too warm for San Antonio for you.
Christinapedia said 95.
Well, then I should give Christina Pedia
And and
a
Michael
bonus.
McGuire.
And Michael McGuire. 95 is correct. 95.
And Make America Great Again. 95.
Yes, 95 too. How about San Diego?
San Diego. Oh, they're always the same every day. What was the number? They always would be like the same high and the same low. The low would be 64. And of course it depends on where that temperature's taken. So, um, I'll say 81.
Nope, Joe, that's much too warm.
It is. Yeah, see, it's
You're
one of
going
those
way
places in
inland.
California where years ago when I used to pay more attention to it, I would have probably gotten the answer right. Cardillo and Scalera and DeChiara and Maggie P all at 77 WABC.
Still a little bit on the warm side.
Frank R at 76.
That's snake country, so what could it
Okay,
possibly
so
be?
somebody throw up a 75. And Frank Scalera is the first one
Chablara
to do it. Congratulations to Frank Scalera.
and Tyler
75.
Senga too. And there you go. Miss Blue Ocean says, my friend lives in San Diego and nobody has air conditioning, but now it's getting warmer. They have to get it. They have to get it. The ocean breeze just isn't cutting. So there you go. Bonus city tonight is, and I've been here. I've been there, and it's a lovely city, and I'm really looking forward to the day when I can get back there. Toronto, Tonto.
Um, hmm, 81.
Too warm.
Okay. Uh, Christina Petey is at 78.
Christina Pedia came that close to getting another one.
Okay. Miss
Make
Fowlerite's at 79.
too warm. So what else could it be?
Okay, so we need a 77 WABC from Frank R. and Rich Rothmansky.
And you got it. 77 degrees in lovely Toronto. The average high temperature in the month of
Ladies and
July.
gentlemen, we have Bella Lugrissi on the chat board. Just so you know, Bella Lugrissi is on the chat board. What's the bonus?
That was the bonus.
Oh, that was the bonus.
That
Oh,
was the
okay.
bonus. Yeah,
Well,
we did
Bella
five.
Lugosi arrived just in time for us to say goodnight. So thanks everybody for being here tonight. And Joe and I will be back tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget, if you're don't have access to YouTube for one reason or another, you can find us on the various podcast platforms, including Spotify. And this show will be on Spotify as long as YouTube behaves itself. The show will be up in Spotify in about an hour. So there you go. And it's 8:16 Eastern Time. Just to remind you that if you're watching this on a replay, you want to go to weather.gov to make sure you get all the latest information regarding severe weather in your particular area. So we will see you all tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Night
And just a
night.
note, and just a note to Cecilia Hernandez, I agree 100%. I too did not like the tiebreaker system they have now used at the All-Star game for last night, and I agree with you. They're ruining the game from the 60s and 70s that we all loved. And I also want to thank Cecilia for a very lovely comment directed to me early on in the show. I saw your comment, and I really did appreciate it more than you'll ever know, Cecilia. Thank you very, very much.
All right. See you all tomorrow.
Good night, folks.